Now, I've been fortunate enough to be testing one of the most hotly anticipated and eagerly anticipated ThinkPads here in 2022. It's the ThinkPad Z13, and what makes this unique is this is a really premium ThinkPad, an ultra-portable laptop running the Ryzen 7 Pro, the 6850U from AMD. Now, we don't normally see such premium ThinkPads with the AMD processors, but this one is pretty special, and I think they're going after the Dell XPS crowd with the design language employed here by Lenovo. I really like that vegan leather cover, the all-metal premium design, and the ThinkPad quality in terms of the keyboard and the build. It's all there. It's got a ForcePad haptic touchpad that is absolutely phenomenal on this. I really like what they did there. And I also love the display. Now, you have an OLED option display, a 2.8K display. I don't have that one, but I do have the Full HD Plus touchscreen model, and that doesn't disappoint. It's gonna be great for doing pretty much everything you'd wanna do with this. And it's also better on battery life. And speaking of the battery life, it was really good with this very efficient processor. We're gonna get into it right now as to why I think this is one of the best thin and light ultra portables here in 2022. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the ThinkPad Z13, brand new here for 2022. Coming up. Okay, before we get to the device, I want to let everyone know in the interest of transparency and full disclosure that I'm not being paid by Lenovo, I'm not being sponsored by Lenovo. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Lenovo is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this review unit is on loan from Lenovo, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. And as I mentioned in the unboxing and first look review, this is a new device by Lenovo. It's powered by the next-gen AMD Ryzen Pro U-Series processors, black recycled vegan leather option, edge-to-edge keyboard, 120mm haptic ForcePad. You can get this with up to 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, up to 1 terabyte of PCIe Gen 4 SSD storage, infrared Full HD camera with an E-shutter. It has Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.2, and optional 4G LTE. And I think it's pretty obvious who Lenovo is going after with the Z13. It would be the XPS 13 Plus. Now, I'm planning on doing a head-to-head between these two ultra portables, and it should make for a very interesting video. Stay tuned. That will be coming very soon. All right, let's talk about the display, and it's a good one. Now, I have the Full HD Plus one, the touchscreen, although there is an OLED option. It's a 2.8K OLED display. That will use more battery life, but it will have better color gamut coverage, and it will also have better color accuracy. But again, that will take a hit on the battery. I like this Full HD Plus because it really offers a lot. You get the deep blacks, the vibrant colors, the good contrast, the good white point, and it has a low Delta E score of 0.86, which of course, if you know, anything below 2 is considered color accurate. This is excellent in that regard. And the coverage of the color gamut is good as well. 100% sRGB, 80% Adobe RGB, 81% of the DCI-P3 wide color gamut, and 75% NTSC. And the good news here is that if you're a content creator, this is a pretty good choice if you want to do some Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing, and of course, even some color grading. Not too bad. Now, for those sensitive to screen flickering or PWM, I didn't detect any in my testing. That's good on that front. Now, one thing you'll notice, it is a glossy display. You will notice some glare and reflections depending on your lighting conditions, but it's not too bad. It has an anti-reflective coating on it, so that does help. And it is a bright display, and as I mentioned, they're claiming 400 nits. I actually got above that, about 405 nits in my measurements. It's also a very responsive touch display. There's no pen support, but as far as navigating through the OS with your finger, it worked really well, and I like having that convenience feature. And my overall takeaway is this Full HD Plus option is a great way to go for most people, but of course you could always go with that 2.8K OLED option. That will eat more battery life, but it will be even better in terms of the coverage of the color gamut and of course color accuracy. So choose based on your needs, but I think for the most part, most people will be perfectly satisfied with this really excellent Full HD Plus touch display. So this is the front-facing 1080p IR camera on the brand new ThinkPad Z13. Now this, as I said, IR camera, meaning you can log in with Windows Hello. Setup was easy, it's worked well so far. There is a fingerprint scanner located on the keyboard. Setup was easy with that as well. That worked well with Windows Hello as well when you're using your finger. Now, as far as a shutter switch, there is a physical key actually on the keyboard that allows you to turn it off, giving you more security and privacy. Now, what do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality of the array mics? Looking good in my opinion, but I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in that comment section below. Now, this is running the AMD Ryzen 7 Pro 6850U, an 8-core 16-thread CPU from AMD. And it performed well, especially when it comes to everyday tasks such as Microsoft Office, email, web browsing. It all worked well. Consuming media was very good on this laptop. Now, as you can see from these results, from the numbers of the benchmarks that I ran, this is a very capable chipset, and it's also very efficient, as you will see. Now, when I ran the Cinebench R23 in the single-core score, it did okay. I would say middle of the pack when you compare it to some of the competition. Now, when I ran the multi-core score, it came in second place, just shy of the HP Pavilion Plus. Pretty impressive, considering that takes into account a heavy sustained workload, which will account for any thermal throttling. And it had good scores, or not the best, in the single-core performance in the Geekbench 5 test, but in the multi-core, same thing, I would say middle of the pack in terms of what we're seeing here in 2022. So my overall takeaway is you're going to be fine for everyday tasks. Like I said, office work, any kind of web browsing, consuming media, it worked flawlessly on this ultra portable. Now, when it comes to the integrated Radeon graphics, this is a 680M, and as you can see from the Time Spy and Firestrike score, decent numbers, although it's not a powerhouse when you compare it to something with a discrete GPU. Now, of course, this is not a gaming laptop. I think most of you know that, but of course, if you lower some of the settings, you can get somewhat playable frame rates on some of the more popular titles. But of course, the good news is here you have USB-C 4 ports here that support external GPUs. So if you want to get extra graphics horsepower, this will support it. And I thought the thermals were pretty good when I ran the Prime 95 stress test to see how this would perform under heavy load. I noticed some throttling over sustained heavy workloads, but it remained pretty good in terms of the clock speeds over that sustained test, so pretty good in that regard. And when it comes to the surface temperatures, a few hot spots here and there, and it can get quite warm on the bottom in that hot spot you see here. Now, when it comes to the fan noise in the performance mode, the loudest it would get is 45, 46 decibels, but in all the other modes, it remains relatively quiet. Now, when it comes to battery life, this sports a 51.5 watt-hour battery, and it did 11 hours and 39 minutes on my continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi at 150 nits. What does that mean in real-world mixed usage? This is a 8 to 9 hour device, but of course, everybody's use case is a little bit different, so your mileage may vary. And of course, expect less battery life if you go with the 2.8K OLED option. Now, they do give you a 65-watt USB-C power adapter that supports rapid charge, and in my testing, it takes about an hour and 25 minutes to give you a full charge. Not too bad. Now, the screen will go as far back as you see here, and of course, you can open it up with one finger. Now, the keyboard is one of my favorite parts of this ultra portable. The key travel was decent, although a little bit shallow, but had that great tactility we know from the Lenovo ThinkPads, and it never feels like your fingers are going to bottom out. Very comfortable to type on for extended periods of time. Now, there is a multi-stage backlight on it that allows you to get work done in a dark room or a dimly lit environment. That worked well. And of course, it's a spill-resistant keyboard. That means if you spill coffee or water or something like that, it will have a fighting chance of surviving. And it has a glass haptic ForcePad, so it's really responsive when it comes to scrolling. No issues. In fact, it's one of the better ones I've seen on a Windows laptop. It worked excellent. And it has the track point, which is a dual purpose track point that lets you navigate like a mouse, of course, or double tap to open the communications quick menu. And that quick menu will give you access to the camera in terms of the brightness and the contrast. You could also change the profile for the microphone, and you could also do a Microsoft dictation. That'll be really convenient, especially for the business user. And there's a bunch of other advanced settings. You can change how the haptic ForcePad works on this. So really very interesting, and I like that quick access with the double tap. Now, one of the best parts of this laptop is its design. Again, it took a lot of design language from other laptops, and they put it here into this ThinkPad. Now, I like this black vegan leather cover on the top. That's an option you can go with, or you can go with all metal. Now, it also has a lot of really good durability thanks to the military-grade testing that it underwent, making sure that this can withstand extreme environments. And, of course, it's also very portable at 1.26 kilograms or 2.78 pounds. Throw it in your bag. You're ready to rock and roll on the road. And that's always great, especially with this thin and light ultra portable. It's not only premium, but it's easy to take with you on the go. Now, I covered the ports in the unboxing video, but for those that didn't see it, on the left side is a USB-C 4.0 port that is full function. It supports data, charge, and display out. You can connect to external monitors, 4K monitors. You could also connect to docks, as well as an external GPU. Now, moving over to the right side is a second USB-C 4 port that's also full function. And then, of course, you get your power button, and finally, a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack. I would say all in all, not the greatest port selection, but with the inclusion of USB-C 4.0, I'll take it, especially when you can connect to external GPUs, docks, monitors, and the like. It's pretty full function in that regard. Now, I opened up this laptop in the unboxing video. All you need to do is loosen the captive Phillips head screws, pop off the bottom plate, and you're in. It was pretty easy. I was able to do it with my hands. And once inside, you'll notice that the SSD is user upgradable. Now, this chipset certainly supports PCIe Gen 4, which would be the fastest speeds we see here in 2022. A lot of other laptops have it. This one, however, has a Gen 3 in terms of the speeds. And as you can see from these reads and writes, these are definitely fast enough for most people. There has been no issues. But I would like to see Gen 4 speeds on this because it certainly supports it. But of course, the good news is it's slotted in. So if you want to change it out down the road, put some faster speed and more storage in, you can do that. Now, unfortunately, the RAM is soldered into the motherboard, but you can configure this with up to 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, and it is running in dual channel mode. Now, my review unit has 16 gigabytes of RAM, and everything's working fine in that department. And I love the inclusion of Wi-Fi 6E along with Bluetooth 5.2. Now, that is also soldered in, so you won't be able to change it out down the road, but both the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, working flawlessly so far. Everything good on that front. And of course, for the Road Warrior, this is going to have the optional 4G LTE. Now, that modem is not present on my review unit, but you can configure it with the 4G modem when you check out. Now, as far as 5G, nothing official yet, so it's not available for this laptop. Now, the audio has been surprisingly good on this thin and light ultra portable. Now, it uses a Dolby Atmos speaker system. The mids were good, the volume was good, and there was some bass. I actually thought the sound was pretty good. Now, let's give it a listen with Epidemic Sound. And if you want to save 10% on Epidemic Sound, see the link in the video description below. Okay, folks, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the Lenovo ThinkPad Z13 Gen 1 here in 2022? A brand new device with a premium ThinkPad running the Ryzen processor, the 6000 series. This is something you asked for, and Lenovo certainly has delivered. I like the 2.8K OLED display option, although this Full HD Plus touch display is excellent in its own right, and it will give you better battery life. I like the edge-to-edge keyboard. The Haptic ForcePad worked really well. The sleek and modern design, especially with that vegan leather cover. I like the faster LPDDR5 RAM that this employs. The optional PCIe Gen 4 SSD support, although the speeds we're seeing here are Gen 3. There are two USB-C 4 ports that are full function. You can connect to things such as multiple 4K monitors, external GPUs, and of course docks as well. That gives you full functionality. I also like the optional 4G LTE Cat16 modem that this can offer you, especially for the business user on the road. It's got an IR Full HD 1080p webcam that I thought was very good. It has good battery life, and I gotta say, really good overall efficiency out of this Ryzen chipset. Unfortunately, there are a few negatives. It's got soldered RAM, it can get expensive, and the keyboard deck is a fingerprint magnet. But there's a lot to like here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give this a score of 88%, making the ThinkPad Z13 Gen 1 here in 2022 definitely worth your money. So what do you think about this bad boy, the ThinkPad Z13? Now you can see this black vegan leather cover, really premium, feels great. It's been durable so far in the few weeks I've been using this. Really nice edges here, a little boxy look, almost like an iPhone design here. Very premium, very high-end, and like I mentioned, it's going after the XPS in terms of the design language, and I think for the most part they succeeded here. Really nice design language, but of course, we don't get too many ports. You get the headphone jack, you get the two USB-C 4 ports, and the big deal here with those USB-C 4 ports, they're full function, data, charge, display out. Now, these also can support eGPUs from what I understand because of the throughput that it does support. So a big gain right there. Of course, when we saw all the Intel and Thunderbolt devices we saw last year, we were always left in the dark with these AMD products because it didn't support external GPUs. But with this USB-C 4 standard, we really ramp it up here, and you are able to do things like external GPUs with this. Kudos to them. I'm really happy they put that in here. All metal design, like I said, soldered RAM, very typical of a thin and light ultra portable, upgradable SSD, PCIe Gen 4, although we didn't see the Gen 4 speeds. This does support Gen 4 if you want to upgrade it yourself, which is something you can do. Wi-Fi 6E, of course, on this. The Bluetooth all worked well and really good. Now, as far as the pricing, this has a premium price tag to match this premium flagship status that it really has. But of course, Lenovo constantly are running sales. So make sure you hit up the link in the description below for the latest pricing because you want to keep your eye on it. Lenovo does run some pretty major sales. Nice full HD plus webcam, really nice array mics. I think it's the total package here, especially if you're looking for a premium ThinkPad with an AMD Ryzen 6000 processor. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.